Welcome to Live Life with Sean. I'm your host, Sean Higgins. I'm a lifelong information security technology expert with a passion for speaking, coaching, and writing. In this podcast, I'm going to talk to you about what's going on in my life. And I hope by me talking about it, it'll help you with your life, whatever you're going through. This show is recorded live, and you're invited to add your questions to the discussion. If I don't get to them, I'll do my best to answer them on my blog or in a future show. I only ask if you enjoy this content, please share it, subscribe to it, like it, and or leave a comment or question, as this will help others find this podcast. Thank you for joining me. And welcome to show 23. It seems like only yesterday I really got started with this show. And when I sat down this week and tried to figure out what to talk about tonight, I was really struggling because I didn't have a topic that really jumped out at me. And I was sitting around the dinner table talking to my daughter, "Oh, what are you going to talk about tonight?" And I really didn't know. And, she suggested talking about, how you dealing with COVID, so the title became, "How are you dealing with COVID?" Because, as I look at the calendar, here we are on February 25th. And I realized that as of next week, I will have been home for 1 year because of COVID. And what happened last year is that the first few days of March, I had had a business trip. I had to go to Boston, came back, had a cough, which I normally get because I don't know, I get them in the winter. And I just decided to stay home because the talk of COVID was coming on, and one of the symptoms was a cough, and I didn't have any other symptoms with it, which is surprising because normally I get a cold, then I get a cough, and it lasts forever. Okay, my wife says it lasts forever, but it just lasts. So I just said, okay, I got this cough. I'm just going to stay home so I don't panic anybody, and I'll just stay. And then before I knew it, the whole world shifted. Sporting events are canceled, which is a big thing for me because I like the first round of the NCAA tournament. And a matter of fact, I try and go to the first round somewhere. Last year, I was going to go visit my brother in Richmond, Virginia, and we had tickets to go to Greensboro, North Carolina to go watch the first round. It's about 3 hours from his house, so it was a bit of a hike, but it's something that I really enjoy. And it's better than just watching it, though. I'd love to, I'll probably take the Thursday and Friday off of the first round and just watch the basketball because I love the basketball. But I missed that opportunity. It just because, and it was like days before. No, it was about a week before they canceled the tournament because I remember the Big Ten tournament. I'm a Purdue Boilermaker, so I'm watching the Big Ten tournament, and Purdue was on the court warming up for their next game in the Big Ten tournament. And they said, nope, we're done. They shut it down. So it was a big change. And then the lockouts and the border closed and work from home for seems like forever. And there's been some good and there's been some bad. Matter of fact, I was talking to a coworker who I hadn't seen in almost a year because she went on maternity leave, I think in May last year. And she's been back for about a month or so, but our paths hadn't crossed. And, we were talking about it. And that is one of the things that we talked about that we miss with being in the office, is missing those casual connections. And I sat back and yeah, I remember because I would normally pop by her office and just, hey, how's it going? Talk about something. Sometimes work related, sometimes not, but always just chit chatting with her. And I started thinking as I was sitting here thinking about this show, some of the other people that I've missed because of it. There's a guy, Nick, that we'd always talk about baseball, run by his desk. He's a big Blue Jays fan. And I think last year in February, he actually went down to Dunedin to see a couple of spring games from spring training. Um, Another person that I missed was Nicole, because I'd always go by and talk to her about some latest sci-fi show that was on and just get her opinion on it. And she kind of scared me and freaked me out with that stuff because she really knows it in detail and all how this person is connected to that person. Heck, I'm just enjoying the show, but I was always fascinated by her knowledge. And it really started when we both started watching Game of Thrones. And every time, especially the last season, we both watch it and then we both talk about it and what we thought about it. But it was great. And there's still other casual connections that I miss. My standard lunch group that I would always go out with. I miss that. And that there's also things I don't miss. I don't miss the commute. For me to get to the office takes me at least an hour. And coming home, it's at least an hour and a half because traffic, And, but, there's been some good. I made some changes because, when you're at home, it's just different. You need to get into a routine, which I do. I am normally a morning person. I get up during the week, I'm up at 4:30 in the morning. People think I'm crazy. My wife thinks I'm crazy for getting up that early, but I love having that time in the morning to just ease into the day and to do some things for me. An important thing for me is taking time for myself and getting some physical activity. In the mornings when I would go to the office, I typically get up in the morning, 4:30, walk the dogs. It'd only be about 10 minutes. Now, in the mornings, I go for 20 minutes. I have the time. I take them for a walk, 20 minutes. I go over to Starbucks. Love Starbucks, okay? And I'll get my chai tea latte. Matter of fact, all I have to do is say hi to the barista. She knows me, and we have a little chit chat. And she just gets me my drink. Don't even have to order it. And come back, and I sit and drink my chai, and I write. Sometimes it's good stuff. Sometimes it's just block. Sometimes you just can't think of anything. And sometimes it turns into shows like this. This show is totally written like the last hour before the show because I just didn't feel anything. I mean, there's some topics that are coming that I just need a little more time for them to germinate before I can talk about them. This one was a little bit easier to come to grips to because I'm just going to talk about what I'm doing. After my usually about a half hour, 40 minutes of writing, I'll go and do a little bit of a workout. Yeah, I know I already walked, but I'll either do some yoga or right now I'm doing yoga every other day and then some high intensity interval training on those other days. Sit and do some meditation and then come back upstairs out of the basement into my office and I start my workday. And I seem to get a lot of work done between the time I get back to my desk and say 9:30 in the morning. I just kind of blow through stuff because nobody bothers me. And I just kind of get through the work. Thankfully, most of the time I don't have meetings at that, which is great. My wife works out of the house, which is probably great for our marriage because I'm sure we would be probably at each other's throats at times because just she's got a different cycle than I do. In the evening, instead of doing an hour and a half commute, I'm out in the evening for at least a 20-minute walk. It usually turns into 40 minutes because I find a little longer path. Dogs love it. You should see them. About 4:30, they start coming in and looking in my office saying, "Is it time? Is it time?" And I ought to record a video because you pick up those leashes, man, they just go bananas. They're just like, "Oh, we're going. I can't believe we're going." One of the things that I've done differently in the evening is that during my walks in the evening, I talk to people. I just pick up the phone, I call them, and I've called people that I haven't talked to in years. They were just like, "Why are you calling?" And I'm just like, "Hey, just call to see how you're doing." Especially early on in COVID, just seeing how they were handling it and what they're doing with it. And I remember there's people that I work with. I don't usually call people in the office because it seems different, but there are people who I associate with, that I probably do business with, but I've been friends with for so long. I called him. I remember calling this one guy. He works for a vendor of ours. He goes, "What's the problem?" I said, "There's no problem. It's just seeing how you're doing." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And then we start talking. So it's good. It's fun. I know I've had a good walk in the evening because I normally get ready to go. I put the music on, go out, walk around the corner, ask Siri to call somebody, and then the phone goes and I'm talking. And I know it's a good walk when I haven't played one song because usually I'll talk to somebody and it will take my whole walk, but sometimes I'll talk to two or three people and, finish up by the time I get back. One of the things that I added here in the winter, which seems strange to add in the winter, is I've been adding a 60-minute lunch walk when possible. Usually, if I have a break of about an hour, hour and a half at lunch, if I have at least an hour and a half break at lunch, I'll try and get in a 60-minute lunch walk. I just like to have that extra buffer on there so that, if the walk takes a little longer than an hour, I'm not running back here to get to a meeting because I'd rather be at my desk for that meeting. One of the things that I did that some of you know about is, I was sitting here after COVID started and I was thinking about, what could I do? And I started something I called Morning Calm. What Morning Calm was a 15-minute meditation to help you ease. At least this is how it started. It started out with help you ease um, your stress and anxiety over COVID. And I was doing that because I was feeling some of that stress and anxiety about COVID. And I just continued to do it. I did it Monday to Friday, 8:30 in the morning, every day. At some point along the way, it shifted from help you with COVID to just get you ready for your day. And I kept doing that. And long about show number 80, I started thinking, okay, it's going to change. I just feel that, Morning Calm needs to shift. And I shifted it really into another podcast that I have called Kickstart Your Week, which is similar to Morning Calm, except it's only on Mondays at 8:30. And it's a meditation to get you ready for your week. And what I came up with also out of that was to start this show called Live Life with Sean. And the premise was to just talk about what's going on in my life. And hopefully, by me talking, it will help you. And that's all it is. And I know that there have been some topics that I've been very excited about to talk about. The last three shows, actually, probably the last 4 or 5 shows have really been exciting for me because they're getting me to come out of my comfort zone a little bit and just talk about some things that I'm starting to look around and say, what else? What else is possible? And there's going to be some more shows in that vein. I think that there's some things that, I've been talking to some friends of mine and, they're sending me some things that, are just going to take a little bit of time to settle in with me. I mean, one of the things that came into my inbox recently was, and this is something that's been bubbling up a little bit. It's, talking about white privilege. I'm a white male. And whether I want to um, believe it or not, there's some privilege to being this white male. And I'd like to think that I'm better than having that privilege. And maybe I am a little bit, only a little bit. But there's probably things that I have let go through that I've turned a blind eye to that I could have said, wait, that is not right. And I think that's the area that I need to improve upon. And, I was listening to a woman talk. I'd love to tell you her name, but it's a name that I just have not gotten a hang on pronouncing yet. And that's on me, not on her. She was a beautiful speaker. Um, but she was talking about just some of the unconscious bias that we have as people. And I could feel what she was talking about. And she also talked about how there are going to be people, and hopefully I can be one of them, who start talking about this, talking about it from my white male platform, and see how it goes. I need to do some more listening and reflecting, and I'll let you know how it goes. And I'm sure I'll be talking about it on a upcoming show here. Um, I always invite people here to ask questions, so please feel free to ask me questions. And, you know, also, there's been talk about depression with COVID, and I have felt it at times, probably a little bit. And I think that's why I get outside as much as I can. That's why I call people in the evening. It gets me that connection. I have talked to people who have said they are depressed. They miss going out. They miss hanging out at the bar with their friends watching the game. There's a lot of things they're missing, and they don't know how to fill that time. And I think there is a lot of that. For me, where do I feel most of my stress? Going to a big store. Okay. Because I'm just still on edge about COVID. And I thank God that the area that I live in, it seems to have a lower COVID infection rate. Thank God, knock on wood. Um, and I don't want to go someplace where I don't know what I'm doing. My wife says, you want to go to Costco? And I'm like, no, no, don't want to go there. Go to Walmart. No, don't want to go there. And it's not that I don't like the stores. They've got good things. It's just they're both huge stores, and I don't really know where I'm going when I want to get something, especially Walmart. I walk in there and I'm just like, there's too much for me. And then to put on top of that, the COVID stuff, just crazy. But I'm getting used to the social distancing, wearing the mask. Wearing the mask is not a question for me. Okay, the biggest question is, do I have the mask when I leave the house? Because I'll tell you, on my 60-minute lunch walk, it runs around the neighborhood, passes by Starbucks. Okay, yes, I should do an ad for Starbucks here. I pick up my Starbucks and continue my walk. So my biggest question is, do I have my mask so I can get my Starbucks? If I don't have my mask, I can't get my Starbucks. Because I learned very early on in COVID that you can't walk through the drive-through of Starbucks. They just don't let you. I remember early on in Starbucks, I would walk the dog. I would take that. I varied my routine. I varied my routine over a while. Take the dogs for a walk. Then I would walk to Starbucks and walk back. No, sorry. I would walk to Starbucks, sit in Starbucks, have my chai, and then come back. And that was before all the lockdowns and such, because They're still allowing people in there. We weren't talking about masks. And then one day, everything shifted and they closed. You couldn't go indoors. So I walked up to the speaker and I said, "Oh, you're locked. Can I get my chai?" And they said, "We can't let you walk through the drive-through." And I was like, "Okay." I almost wanted to cry because I couldn't get my chai. I walked all that way and couldn't get there. But they said, "Come to the door, come to the door." And they handed it out to me. So that's why I started driving to Starbucks in the morning, um, because I couldn't walk in. I can walk in now. Just you change your routines, you do different things. And I really did enjoy. I used to do that when I drove to the office. I drive to Starbucks and I go sit and write there in the Starbucks before I made it to the office. And writing has always been an outlet for me to just sit and get my thoughts out of my head onto paper or onto the computer because I type them. And I mainly type them because you wouldn't be able to read my handwriting, and sometimes I can't either. So just a interesting thing. Where am I going? What are your routines that you feel are important to you? Are you making time for them? I get up early so I can get in my walk with the dogs in the morning. I can get in my yoga. I can get in my meditation. I can get in my time writing before I have to start working. I start working early so I can end a little bit early and then just start again with another walk. And yeah, I'll probably go for a walk, between 4 and 5, at least start to walk at that time. And um, I may get home and go back to work, but that's okay because I did have that break. I called some people, connected with them, you know. But what are the routines that are important to you? Are there some other routines you need to add to your life? Maybe you need to get up 30 minutes earlier just so you can get in that walk. That is one thing for me that I learned a long time ago. I control my morning. I remember uh, before I got married, I would work out in the evenings because I had the time. I could do that. When I got married, I instantly had a family. I had two stepchildren, one of which who was involved in sports, which meant somebody needed to drive him to sports. He played hockey and lacrosse, and it's not that I minded doing it. I enjoyed doing it because I enjoyed watching him play. It's just that I had no control over the evening because I didn't know what evenings I would be doing something and wouldn't be doing something. So it made it hard to plan around that. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to get up earlier and do my workouts in the morning. And that had become a ritual. And there have been times when I've dropped that ritual and then I would notice, after a couple of weeks, I could start feeling the stress building up in me. So getting outside during COVID has really been good for me. And yeah, I'm getting a little tired of the winter and I'm glad it's warmed up a little bit. So let me know, what are some of the things that you've done differently during COVID? You know, maybe you uh, eat lunch with your wife because you're both at home. Maybe you get out for a walk. What is it? Maybe you take some extra time and read a book at lunch. I don't know what it is. What is it for you? And if you haven't found it, steal somebody else's. Take some of that time. Put a blank sheet of paper in front of you. Hold a pen and see what comes out. Just if you have to, set a timer for 20 minutes. Just stare at that page till something comes out, because that's how I started writing. And some days that is how I write today. I'll sit there with my chai and I won't leave until I've written something. Yeah, sometimes there's not a lot of very good stuff, and sometimes it is just brilliant. And that's fine. It's part of the ritual. Thank you. I hope that this has been helpful for you. If you would like to connect with me, I'll call you on one of my walks. Go to my website, SeanCHiggins.com. There's a link for the Connect with Sean page. You can fill out your information. Look at all I need your phone number. I'll call you. I called a old high school friend who I haven't talked to probably since high school, because we went off in different ways and I just kept going and he went a different way. But it's been great to connect with him. It was his birthday today, which is, I've actually been talking to him for the past month or so, but today was his birthday and it was just good to talk to him. But, if you just need somebody to talk to because you don't have anybody, let me know. Sorry. And I hope you enjoyed this show. If you did, share it, subscribe to it, like it, leave a comment. Tell me what you're doing that's helping you get through COVID. Tell me, ask me questions. I'll help you. I'll do what I can. Next week, we'll talk about something else. Who knows what it'll be then, but we'll talk then. So until then, have a wonderful week.